Also, this forum does not create an attorney-client relationship. So please bear that in mind until notebook in your blue folder, a notepad in your blue folder or sheet of paper. Please jot down your questions. Also, jot down the notes that um, you made, the points you learned along the way. At the end of the session, we'll take questions all together. Please remember to record on the recorder. Thank you. Also, in your worksheet, we have what we call the orange, in the blue folder, we have the orange worksheet. This is a very critical and important document that we want you to complete as we go along. The first part has your personal information. We'll keep them confidential. So we want you to fill out your name and all those information in the first section. Then an important part will be the third section. That's an interactive part, okay? Because while I'm making the presentation, I'll be asking a question like, or say something like, if you want to keep your family out of court or out of conflict, check this box. If you want to make sure your kids don't inherit at 18, check this box. Please, truthfully and honestly, check the boxes that apply to you, okay, as we go along. Also, if you have any other questions, if you want to be on our e-newsletter, if you want to get a copy of the ebook, and there are a lot of things you can complete, what next steps you want to take in the second section. At the end of the seminar, we'd like you to give this back to us, okay? And when you give it back to us, and stay tuned to the end, we're going to give you what we call a golden ticket. The golden ticket is our gift to you, and basically, it's going to be this this and something else. All right, and I'll tell you a little more about that. Complete your worksheet, the orange worksheet, and it's going to afford you the opportunity to get a complimentary one-to-one meeting together to talk with us about the people you love most and how to protect them. Also, you're going to have a $250 credit towards a planning. If you schedule a family wealth planning session, we're going to give you $250 credit towards any plan you give to us. And more importantly, when you schedule the family wealth planning session and submit that orange sheet, you have a $750 gift certificate. So that instead of paying $750 for a 2-hour session to speak with the attorney, you'll have it for $20. Okay, $20. Just for scheduling a family wealth planning session. So to be able to get this gift, $1,000 gift and much more, please stay tuned to the end. Put in your orange worksheet and also schedule a family wealth planning session. In addition, for those who schedule a family wealth planning session, we'll be offering them a digital asset checklist. How many of you have emails, bank accounts, online bank accounts, online accounts of different things? A lot of us have a whole lot of all this online stuff, and we just lose it when it comes to usernames and passwords. So we have that set up for you so that you will make it a good part of your planning to get organized, okay? And that's going to be our gift to you, and it's part of our estate planning package. So I'd like you to please stay tuned to the end so that you'll get the golden ticket and afford yourself all the gifts that we're giving to you today. Thank you so much for coming. A little about me. I'm the founder and owner of Ivylaw Law Office. We started our law office in 2010. We've been on Ivy Lane. The name of our office is Ivylaw Law Office LLC, and our tagline is quality legal representation. Ivy Law from Ivy League, and we want to offer the best for our clients, and give them quality representation in anything that they want to do. We've served hundreds of thousands of people over these years, and it's been a blessing to know that we've impacted a lot of people and they recognize it. So we've been named lawyers of distinction, the 10 best attorneys for immigration law, top attorney on Apple. We have a lot of five-star reviews. And for estate planning and license with a personal family lawyer, which is an exclusive organization for estate planning attorneys that will serve you the best way possible. And yesterday, we were graced to be named one of the top 10 law firms in Maryland. So, all this is because we put our best into serving our clients and putting out the best out there to make sure that for estate planning, we keep your families out of court and conflict in the event of.
You have been named top 10 economies in the big area. And one we have not of it.
Oh, top, this one is immigration law. We do both immigration and estate planning. Yeah, top 10 attorneys in
For both
immigration law.
immigration and estate planning.
Yes, but this is for immigration. Okay. Alrighty. So for estate planning clients, our mission statement is to help keep our clients' families and loved ones out of court and out of conflict in the event of incapacity or death through comprehensive estate planning. It's important that we just not plan, but we want to make the plan to work. And we make it in a way that the plans that we create for our clients work when we do so. We have a system in place. That's my family. It's all about family because when we put a plan in place, we just not planning for ourselves, but the people we love most. So these are my whys, and you probably have your own whys, okay? So that's my husband, those are my children. Two of them are in college, and the last one is with me today. This is our team. I'm not just the only talent there. We work as a team to serve our clients, and that's actually Will. That's me. We have Miss Moji, and the pleasure of having Miss Princess and Miss Taya over there working with us today. So we work together to give you an excellent client services. Thank you so much, team. Ivylaw. Alrighty. The bathroom, if you need to use the bathroom, when you walk out, you turn left, turn right, and another right. The men's bathroom and the women's bathroom is there, and there's a key to the men's bathroom at the lobby area. Alrighty. So we want to get into the matter. Why did I start estate planning? We started doing estate planning, or I started thinking about estate planning when something happened. Okay, one of our family friends was going to pick up his son from school, and so this is like it's not like he was going to drive through a big highway or something. It was going to be not a too long a journey to make. On his way back, he and his son were in the car. Okay, and they had an accident. Unfortunately for the man, he lost his life, and the child survived. It was a very bad incident because he did not have any plan in place. And to make the matter worse, his wife was outside the country. She traveled outside the country at that point in time. So the dad is dead, the mother is out of the country, and this young boy experienced the death of his father. And to make the matters worse, there wasn't anyone really around to take care of it. So at the end of the day, he had to take it to CPS and spent like a week with them before the mother returned. When this happened, it took a lot of grieving and all that, but because the man did not have a plan in place, they had to go through the probate system, and it court system, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to assess the assets that the man had, and had worked very hard for to take care of his family. I saw this happen, and I was like, this is not okay. This man did not plan, so he put his family in some sort of mess. Apart from the fact that the child had to end up with a stranger for like a week, it wasn't okay. So I started thinking about it, and I said, I would not like to put my family in a situation like this. I got to do something better. Also, I'm from Africa, and a lot of people really don't plan. You know, when it comes to having an estate plan in place, they're like, I don't want to die, I don't want to think about it, you know, I shall not die, and things like that. So I saw this as a good opportunity to educate our communities to make sure that some or more people put plans in place so that they don't leave a mess for their families. So that's my motivations towards starting estate plan. When I started, I didn't plan for someone, so he had his house in order. And unfortunately, he passed away. But in contrast, when he passed away, it was easy for his family because he put stuffs in place. He had plans in place. There was no conflict. There was no confusion. There was no need to even go through the court probate system. So I compared the two. I was like, it's better for you to plan ahead to avoid court and conflict and make things easier for your family than not do so and leave your family in a mess. So all this put together um, made it a strong motivation to put these educational sessions out so that people will learn and people will implement. We do things a little differently in our firm. We're not just a traditional estate planning law firm. So we want to serve our clients the best, and we do so using a special model. A lot of people will go to, like say, any estate planning law firm. I'll call them a traditional attorney, okay? And just call, oh, hello lawyer, I need a will. It's just a simple will, lawyer. Um, it's about me, my husband. Everything I have just goes to my husband. Everything my husband has, let it come to me. Just simple. At the end of the day, the traditional lawyer will send them a will or send them a plan. But because they're really not, that's not their focus area. They don't know how to serve their clients best in that in that area of law. So at the end of the day, they'll send a person the will in the email. And you know what? A lot of times, these clients don't even sign those documents. So it's not properly executed, and they'll pay the attorney. At the end of the day, it doesn't work. Why? Because it's not executed. And there's some people that, and probably years later they come and say, oh, yeah, I need a will with an attorney. Well, anyway, okay, so what's it about? Alpha. Well, I didn't sign it. Why? Because there's a lot of legal language in that document that you don't even understand. But you just wanted someone that would draft something for you, and it was indeed. So we wanted to serve our clients better. So it's not just about drafting legal documents. We want it to be specific to you and your family needs. Okay? We want you to understand what you're doing and make informed decisions. And we want to make the process as easy as possible for you. So how do we do this? We do this through what we call first starts with a family well planning session, okay? And we're going to go more into how that works. First of all, we offer flat fees to our clients. A lot of law firms that charge hourly fees. Who knows about that? And by the time you get a phone call and an email and a meet, then you get some couple of thousands of dollars charged in your account, and you're like, what did I do that all the money I paid as finished and you're asking for more like that? So we don't want that. We want it to be better. So we're offering flat fee services for our estate planning clients so that there are no surprises. What we tell you is what you'll have. By the time we have a design meeting with you and you put your plan in place, this is it, this is what's going to cover, and that's it. There are no extra fees like that, okay? Secondly, we put it in an educative way. So this session is an educative session. Then the family wealth planning session is a deeper educative session. So that we're planning focused to you, your family needs, and you're able to make informed decisions about the plans you are putting in place. Also, our office is also relationship based. So we're not just a transactional attorney or a one-time attorney. So, a lot of people use lawyers, they don't even know the lawyer's name. Oh, what's the name of your lawyer? Oh, I can't remember or I've forgotten or something like that. But we don't want it to be like, our clients just pass by, we help them, and they're gone out of our lives. We pride in keeping relationship and contact with our clients so that they see us as their go-to attorneys. Okay, and how do we get this done when it comes to estate plan or even any immigration that we do? First of all, we have an e-newsletter and we keep in touch with you through our e-newsletter. Secondly, for estate planning, we invite you for a free review of any plan you do with us at least every 3 years. Okay. And we do this because life change, the law changes, sometimes beneficiaries change. And when those things change and you don't change the terms or the things in your legal planning document, it will not work. I've had a situation where someone was named as one of the agents in the will, like a personal representative, but the person that was named as a personal representative has passed away before this person died. Do you understand? So will that work? Will that will work? No. It's not going to work because the agent is not there. So she needs to review that plan. Am I right? So we want to put all this, we want to make sure your plan works for you. So we ask you and we invite you to review those plans at least every 3 years. Another thing that we do to make sure your plan works is, well, to keep our relationship with our clients is we call you at least once a year or 2 times a year. At least you get a call from us once a year. Because we want to check up on you. We want to make sure you're doing well. We want to make sure that there are no significant changes that is going on with you that will affect, the plan you made with us. So that's how we are relationship based, and we want you to see us as your go-to attorney, even if it's not an immigration or estate planning. If you have a question that is legal related, or even not, like something estate, real estate. Oh, I want to buy a house. Do you know a real estate agent? We can help you because we have our teams of referral links, and we can help you find someone you can trust to do those transactions for you. Or, oh, I want a lender. You understand? We can help you with all those. And we just want to make things better for you. So look at us, and if you become a client, just know that you are in good hands. So going to the first question, do you currently have an estate plan? How many of you know about a will? That's the common thing people know. I need a will. Am I right? What about a power of attorney? Healthcare directive. So if you have any of these things I've mentioned, or a legal trust, do you currently have an estate plan? You can raise up your hands if you do. No. All right. So you're going to learn more about it today. If no, why not? Do you fall into any of this category? I'm too busy. If that's you, just raise your hand, nod your head. I'm too young. It's probably very expensive. Yeah, you know what? This it's an assumption because if if you think it's expensive, putting it in place is cheaper than not having it. All right, and there's always a way to make it affordable. So we'll make it affordable to our clients. Um, this is some of the reasons, and we'll get to more reasons. I was speaking with someone the other day, and the person was about 80 years old, and the person was like, "I'm not in a hurry." I'm like, "Do you still think you're too young?" I was like, "Oh no, maybe you're getting it wrong." So, anyone that has a plan here, anyone that has an existing plan in place, maybe you're here to get a better understanding, or maybe your plan is outdated, or maybe you did one online and you did it yourself. There are a lot of people that want to do these things themselves. But when they do it themselves, they make mistakes. And they don't cover on certain things. Okay, I've seen someone use someone that's not professional to draft the state plan, and when the person and they did online. Someone did it with someone that was not an estate planning attorney, and someone did it online, and most of those people gave this to me to review. And I was looking at it and I said, I was looking at I think the power of attorney and the healthcare directive, and I was like, you said this. Is this what you want? And the person said no. You said that. Is this what you want? And the person said no. I'm like, well, you did this yourself. And he said yes. So he tried to do something, but at the end of the day, he did the wrong thing. So these are critical legal documents that you don't necessarily want to DIY because you may want to really understand if it's going to work or not. You know what you're doing sometimes, and it may not work when it's needed. And if you have an estate plan that is over 3 years, you want to review it. You don't want to keep it for 10 years and say it's going to work. All right. So why are you here today? We're going to keep questions towards to the end. Why are you here today? If you're here to have the total assurance that your families and loved ones, the people you know and love, will be able to know what you want after you're gone in the event of incapacity and will be able to serve your needs, okay, regarding your family and your assets. No, having a total assurance that you've done the best thing for them, then you're here for the right reason. If you want to have the comfort of knowing that you've put a plan in place, okay, that someone will be able to follow and avoid conflict. Do you understand? And I'll tell you how conflicts happen. Then you've done something for the right reasons. If you want to know that your family will be well taken care of after you passed away, then you're here for the right reasons. So to have a total assurance and comfort of knowing that your family and your children and your grandchildren will be well taken care of after you're gone, yes, you're here for the right reasons. If you want to have the peace of mind of knowing that your assets will be rightly distributed, first by the people you choose and then given to the people you want, and not go lost, not be lost to the government. All right, then you're here for the right reasons. A lot of people have assets. I don't know if all of you know what you have, but if you don't know what all the things you have, how much more will someone else come in to help you? Do you get what I'm saying? So, for example, there was an incident where, personal for me, my husband was asking, "Hey, we need some money for this. We need some money for this," and I said, I don't know where to get this money from right now." So later it was like, well, you have this IRA somewhere. And I'm like, oh, that's true. I can remember. Do you understand what I'm saying? I was thinking of the bank, the checking account, and the savings account, but I forgot about the IRA. So if you didn't know about it and something happened to me, then it'll just be dealing with a checking and savings account. Am I right? If I forgot about the IRA, then he doesn't know about the IRA, then that's going to be lost to the government. So first of all, if you want to choose the right people to be able to distribute your assets and knowing that your assets will not be lost to the government, and know have the peace of mind that things are properly set, then yes, you're here for the right reason. Do you know that we're taxed while we're alive and also after we're gone? Am I right? All right. So we get taxed while we're alive. How many of you pay taxes on your income? How many of us pay sales taxes? Whenever we file, I think that's part of our income. Whenever we file a tax, some people get money back, some people pay money to IRS. Am I right? So when people pass away to, they pay probate taxes and estate taxes. It's unfortunate, but yes, people get taxed. If you don't properly plan, at least to minimize what they're gonna get after you gone, then you'll be losing a lot. And at the end of the day, your beneficiaries will be getting the leftover because the government is gonna take their piece of the pie first. So if you want to properly plan to avoid or eliminate or save on taxes, you're here for the right reason. Also, if you want to make, how many of you know self-care is important? Taking care of your health, am I right? Self-care is important. However, if you don't specify in writing, this is how I want to be taken care of, then your loved ones are going to take care of you how they know. Do you understand? And that may not really be what you want. So it's better for you to make your own choices about how you want to be taken care of. Who do you want to be your healthcare agent so that there are no confusions? Alrighty? And that's part of estate planning. Also, a lot of assets are lost to the government, and people don't are not really aware of this. Okay, how many of you know of those boarded homes in Baltimore? Before the started rebuilding, have you been to Baltimore before? And you see that there are a lot of boarded homes there. A lot of that used to be someone's home. Am I right? And that's an asset loss to the government at some point. Also, how many of you have like a lot of checking or savings accounts and money markets? At least three. Okay. Investment accounts, stocks and bonds. You know, and most of them, some maybe, and some 401ks. How many of you have like 401ks? You know that. Let's say you have 5 accounts, and your family knows just about 3. What's going to happen to the other 2 they don't know about if you pass away? It's going to be lost to the government. And those accounts are sometimes really the ones that have the most money because they're the money markets, they're the stocks. Am I right? But because your loved ones don't know you have them, after 3 years of it being dormant, it's going to go to the State's Department of Unclaimed Properties. In Maryland, it's over $700 million worth of assets that is there in Maryland. Over the years, there are over 750,000 unclaimed property accounts. And it's so easy to lose properties and assets and money to the government. You know how easy it is? It's as easy as what happened to me. While putting my estate plan together, I knew that I needed to be financially organized. So as part of my process, I had to start marshaling or pulling together, oh, this bank account, that bank account, this, you know, pulling together what I had. And also, as part of the process, I knew I didn't want my assets to belong to the government. So I did a search with the Department of Unclaimed Properties. I put in my information, and lo and behold, I found my name on their list of people with assets. I'm like, oh. I was like, how come my name is on this list? I'm not dead. Do you understand? And or I'm not incapacitated. Or I was like, maybe it's this account, this Capital One account that I opened a long time ago, and maybe it has some money in it. But, I was just like, what could it be? Later on, I completed the application, filled out the form, and when I went there, I asked them what is it that I have here? And I was told, oh, some time ago a check was mailed to your house, but the check returned to the government, to the Baltimore County or city, because probably I've moved. I changed the address. So I was given this check, and it was in the sum of $500, and I became $500 richer. I'm sure some of us will have assets there, so go check it out. It's on the Controller of Maryland's website, okay? But it's so easy to lose your assets, all right? So as part of estate planning, you want to make that happen to make sure that your assets are listed out so that it's not lost to the state. Is that clear? So, if you want to have the comfort and peace of mind of knowing that your assets are well taken care of and not lost to the government, and the total assurance of knowing that your families will not be in a mess after you're gone or be confused when you're here, and also that your wishes will be turned into directives, then you're here for the right reason. So, how many of us are here for the right reasons? All right, thank you so much. I want to acknowledge my parents. My dad is here. Thank you so much for coming, sir. And my uncle, thank you so much for coming. All right, back again to your worksheet. We're going to be using the worksheets from now on. So please fill out your name on the worksheet. Then on the third section, um, when something resonates with you, and I ask the question, you please check the box. All right. So what is estate planning? Um, it sounds like a big word to a lot of people. Does it? Does it really? A lot of people are more familiar with will. Am I right? I need a will. But when you say estate planning, they're like a lot of people are thinking about real estate. You know, but real estate is different from estate planning. It is planning, estate planning is planning in advance and naming who you want to receive the things you own after you die. A good estate planning is more than that. But basically, it's planning in advance. If you don't have a plan, the state has a plan for you. So you want to have a plan in place so that it's your wishes that is being honored and not the state's wishes or other people's. And there's some big fears. Why don't people plan? Why don't people plan? Who thinks this is one of it? Planning for each will hasten its occurrence. Who thinks when you have a plan in place that probably you're going to pass away next week? No, planning for each will not hasten its occurrence. Okay, so this is in Africa or in Nigeria, the people don't want to plan. I'm originally from Nigeria because they think when you're talking about having a will or or power of attorney or things like that, then soon after that you'll pass away. But that's a myth. It's not true. Okay, so the same way, just think about when you have a homeowner's insurance, you buy a house and you're asked to put a homeowner's insurance on it. Does it mean your house is going to burn down soon thereafter? No, not necessarily. So just doing an estate plan will not hasten its occurrence. We need to make that bold step to get it done. Also, some people say it's for the old retired folks. Or maybe they're still young and they have plenty of time. Who thinks it's that? It's not for the retired, it's not for the seniors, it's not for the old folks. Yes, it's good, but no one is guaranteed tomorrow, really. No one is guaranteed tomorrow. We all wish to have long life. I've seen people pass away at 35, 45, people with young families. You understand? So then, thankfully, a lot of people are graced to live long, but it's not for the old folks. And if you're young, too, you may not have plenty of time because you don't know when your time will be up. So it's better to get things done as soon as possible rather than procrastinating. And some people think they don't have enough. All right. So what do you really need to get one done? First of all, estate planning is not just about having a will for after you pass away. It's also about when you are alive, putting a power of attorney in place or putting legal documents in place in case of incapacity or in case you are not available. So add something. You understand what I'm saying? Just add something. And what do you need? We're going to get to what do you need to have something. All right, we're going to get to that in a short moment. Some people think it's for the wealthy. No, it's not for the wealthy. If you have a modest form of asset and you have someone to give it to, then you can have a plan in place. And some people say a will resolve everything. Who thinks that? Who has that? Just having a will solve the problems, will solve all the issues. No. Today we will learn about why a will is not enough. Okay? And you have to have more than that. Also, I'm too busy. I think we've done that one before. I'm too busy. You can't be too busy for your loved ones. So we need to get it done and don't procrastinate. Do you have an estate? Yes, no, yes, no, yes. How many say no? So if believe it or not, everyone has an estate. Okay? So if you have a car or you have a home or your furniture or a savings account, life insurance, investment account, and I think one or two of us will have one of these things. Am I right? Then you have an estate. We've lived so long to know that at least a lot of people have a car. Even if you don't have a car, you have a furniture that you sit on in your home. That goes to probate. Even if you don't have, some people have jewelries. Am I right? Some people have artworks. All those are part of your estate. And you know what? One of my daughters, my first one, passed away a few years ago. She was about 21. And when she passed away, there was this I had to go through the probate system because I didn't know any better than that. And I found out that she had something. She was 21. You know what she had? That insurance, PP, whatever you get from insurance. I think it's I forgot what it's called. But anyway, they gave us a check because she passed away in an accident. So that was our estate. And she was just 21. So who doesn't have an estate? Really nobody. And I found out that if you don't put things properly in place, your car may take you to probate court, or your furniture may, or your clothes may, or your bank accounts may. So why don't you just plan so that you make things okay and leave your family out of the messes that come with lack of planning? I want us to think about this. Who needs your protection? Can you write it down on a piece of paper? Who needs your protection? Or maybe what needs your protection? Please write it down. Think about it. You have a family, you have some money, you have a home, you have a retirement plan, maybe you have stocks and bonds or life insurances. You've worked so hard over the years to pull all this together and have all this. Maybe you want to preserve it and give a legacy to your loved ones. Or even if you don't have children, maybe you want to pass it to your siblings. Or even give them to charity. Who needs your protection? And what needs your protection? Please write them down. Because that's the essence of why you want to put a plan in place. So earlier on, I said a lot of people, when they talk about estate planning, I think it's just about, what will happen when you pass away. But I want us to have a mind shift. Okay? Think about estate planning as not planning for death or planning for life. Because you're putting the plan in place while you're alive. And you want to avoid a mess after you're gone. And in fact, you're creating a legacy when you do so. So this is a new experience that we provide for you when you put a plan in place. First of all, you, and not your children. So people want to leave that responsibility to their children. Am I right? They say my children will take care of this when I'm gone. But the children are confused. Number one, they don't know what you have. Number two, they don't even know where to find them. Number three, they have different opinions. So they will be fighting after you're gone. Or maybe there will be a black sheep in the family that wants to take everything. You don't know what will happen. So you want to make the decisions right now while you're alive. And you're making an informative and empowered and educated decision with your plans. Also, when you plan, you're going to be saving your family thousands of dollars. I told you earlier on that the cost of not planning is more expensive than the cost of planning. So if you make a plan, even if it's a basic one, you're going to save your family a whole lot of headache and a whole lot of money. Also, when you plan, assets are not lost upon death because you've already pulled together what you have, and your families or beneficiaries know what you have and where to find them. And you're updating this from time to time. Also, you can protect your family money from outsiders and creditors. How do you do this? Do you know that in the probate court, when someone passes away, they'll tell you what you have, and then you'll get a list. They'll tell us what the person has, and they'll list everything they have, and then they'll do a newspaper publication, 2 newspaper publications, and do you know who they're publishing to? The public, and they're telling creditors, those you owe some money. If Mr. X owes you some money, it's now time for you to come and take it from his estate. Who wants that? So at the end of the day, the creditors are getting the money even before your beneficiary does. So proper planning can protect family dollars from outside. Also, you have a lifetime of livelihood and financial choices because you'll always be in contact with a law firm or an attorney that can help you make them current if there's a need to make changes so that it will work when it's needed. Also, more importantly for us, when you can, you're keeping your family out of court and out of conflict. Out of court and out of conflict. So, ultimately, we want the plans to work for you. Your plan will work for you when it's needed. I want to tell you a story about someone that had a plan, but the plan did not work for her when it was needed. Okay? This person had a will. And in her will, she has three assets. She has two homes and one bank account. And she has three children. So in her will, she said, I give house A to child A, I give house B to child B, and I give bank account C to child C. Is that a good plan? Maybe at the time she was doing that, she's giving something to each of the children. But you know what? 15 years passed by, and the will was in a shelf or safe deposit box. In the 15 years, she's already sold one home, and she's already closed down one bank account. So the only asset she had at the time of her death was one home. So, unknowingly or not planning properly, or not reviewing her estate plan, when she passed away, only one child had something, had a gift. The other two children were disinherited, basically, because she made specific distributions. Am I right? She gave specific gifts to each of the children, and two gifts were non-existent by the time she passed away. So unfortunately for her, the only child that got the house, but she couldn't get title to the house. What happened? C was told to be the personal representative. And because C is not going to get anything from her mom, he was unwilling to do the personal representative work. So then there was conflict, and then there was litigation, and then A wanted to be the personal representative so that the title to the home will pass to her. And unfortunately, she doesn't want to sell the house so that she can share with her siblings. So, we want the plan to work for you when you need it. So that's why having an estate plan is not just a one-time thing that you do and forget. You need to review it from time to time. When your assets change, when your beneficiaries change. Some of us, we grow from having children, then our children become adults, then we have grandchildren, and we say, oh, maybe we want to give something to our grandchildren, am I right? And things like that. Your life changes from time to time, so update your plan from time to time. And sometimes we have 5 homes, I'm just saying for example, and you sell 3, those are not part of it anymore. So you make sure that your plans are up to date, review them regularly so that it will work for you when your family needs it. So that also goes to the point of when was the last time you reviewed your plan? Or if you don't have a plan, a lot of us said we don't have a plan in place. If you don't have a plan in place, the state has a plan for you. Who knows that? There's a saying that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Am I right? So this is similar. If you don't have a plan in place, the state has a plan for you. And how many of you think the state has your best interest at heart? Do you think IRS cares about you? No. Or the court cares about you? No, not necessarily. So let's see what the state's plan is. So if you don't do something, then the state has their own laws on what will happen. So this is it. event of incapacity, it's called guardianship, and in the event of death, it's called probate. So first of all, if you don't have any plans at all, so there's some plans that are for incapacity. Okay, those are the powers of attorneys and the healthcare directives. While you are alive, okay, this is how you should be taken care of, or this is who will take care of your business. If you don't have such legal documents in place, and someone has to go to Medicaid or Medicare, do you understand? They won't be permitted to negotiate or apply things on your behalf because you've not chosen someone and you make life difficult for them. So at the end of the day, people have to go to the court so that someone will be nominated as their guardian. First, the guardian over their person, then the guardian over their properties. Okay? And when that is happening, it may not be who you choose or who you want that will be your guardian. The person can even be the guardian over your person, but the person may not be the guardian over your assets. I've seen a situation before where um, the Barber's family, the Barber's family, Mr. Barber became incapacitated, so he had to go through disability process and all that, and he had to choose someone to help him. He went to court. He has a son. So the son applied to be his guardian. When the son got to court, the judge said he cannot be the guardian over his finances. But he can be the guardian because he doesn't have good credit, but he can be the guardian over his person. Take care of him, but don't take care of my money. Am I right? So the judge chose a lawyer to take care of the money and chose the son to take care of the debt. Was that what the father wanted, really? Can we interact? Yes, no? Maybe no. Maybe no. Why? And you know what happened? Because the lawyer is in charge of the money. Every time the lawyer goes to court, the lawyer charges against their account. And the lawyer had to be making a decision about where the father will live or where the father will not be. At the end of the day, it was saying, oh, you have to be at this facility, then the money was dwindling, then you have to be at a lower quality facility. Then the money was gone, you have to go back to your house with no one to take care of you. But if the father, Mr. Barber, has made a good plan, he would have chosen who he wants to be the guardian over his finances as well as the guardian over his person. And also in Maryland, the guardianship process used to take about 3 months before you even appear before a judge. Also, if you don't choose someone, you're allowing for conflict. All right, and you know the conflict that could happen. Two people that have your interest at heart, they want to be your guardian. For example, if you're married and there's this family, the mom was the person at issue that was had some form of disability and needed someone to help her with stuff because she can't sign. She has a husband and she has an adult daughter, but the adult daughter is not the daughter of her husband. Okay, so this is a stepdaughter and husband. At the end of the day, while the mother was sick, the husband did not allow the daughter to see her mom. So the daughter filed in court to be the mom's guardian. However, the father too wanted to be the mom's guardian. At the end of the day, a beautiful family became a sour family because two important people, two interested parties, daughter and father, are fighting over the mom. Is that what the mom wanted? No. So things like this happen because we don't plan. We want to avoid that, and that can happen to you at the point of death. It's even worse at the point of death. See, siblings might agree a whole lot. So we want to avoid that. Guardianship and probate, that's the court process. when you go through the court, that's the pipeline of fees that you have to pay. The attorney will take her fees or his fees. The executors will take their fees if they want. The appraiser will appraise your home and take his fees. There'll be court filing fees. The creditors will take their fees. Everybody needs to get a bond. And by the time everybody takes their piece of the pie, what's going to be dropping out of here for your beneficiary?
This guy.
What's going to be dropping? Dum, dum, dum. At the end of the day, after everybody has taken their pie, the leftover is minimal.
Connected.
It's very minimal. And all this could be up to 5% of your assets, of your probate assets. All right? So not doing anything, not having anything done at all, it's like filing, it's calling you, or just having a will. Okay, if you have a will, you go to the probate court. If you don't have a will, you go to the probate court. All right? So just having a will alone or not having anything in place is like you want to file a lawsuit against yourself with your own money for the benefit of your creditors. But you can do better than that. Do you want to file a lawsuit against yourself, directly or indirectly? No, I don't. You know, but lack of planning, that's what it leads to. So you can do better. There was a situation of someone that had a piece of land worth $1 million. Okay? By the time it went through the probate process, the attorney's fees alone was like $37,000. Okay? Then by the time all of them took out of it, what's that? The beneficiaries probably got maybe 600,000. Do you understand? But if you had properly planned, it would be a whole lot cheaper and you would have saved a lot of his assets. Family wealth preservation. All right, you want to preserve your family wealth, you need to plan. Burial and probate. How many of us want to learn about what happens? That's part of it that the first slide shows. But number one is public. All right. It's public in the sense that when a person dies and you have a will and you file a will, anybody can see it if they go to the courthouse and know who your beneficiaries are. Is that what you really want? Because at the end of the day, they're going to be preying on who the beneficiaries are. Estate, those who sell estate, real estate agents, they can go there to know whose house is on sale or who wants to sell an estate. You know, someone died, estate sales, people that do that business. And some people use it to prey on young beneficiaries as well. So as much as possible, you don't want your things to be public, and you can avoid that. Also, Maryland probate court takes about 12 to 24 months before the process completes. And your beneficiary may have to wait for that long before title passes to them. Do you really want that? Maybe not. Maybe not. And also the cost of probate is what we discussed before. It's much more if you don't plan with the cost of probate than having a plan in place. If you want to avoid this, these are examples of people that did not plan and had to end up in probate court. Maybe you're familiar with some of them. This is Jackie Kennedy's Otis's will that was pulled from the courthouse. Chadwick Boseman had an issue when he passed away. Aretha Franklin probably were looking for wills under a chair and things like that. But these people should have known better. Am I right? But they didn't do anything about it. You don't want to be in such a situation. When you don't properly plan, or when you just have a will, beneficiaries will receive their assets outright and unprotected. So let's go to our worksheet before we get to here. We've said something about the probate court and how you can keep your families out of court. Am I right? If that applies to you, can you check your box? I'd like to keep my family out of court. In the first section, I want to keep my family out of court. All right. Also, beneficiaries receive assets outrightly and unprotected. How many of you know? Of course, one of the things about children, am I right? Some of our children could be minor children when we pass away, and some are probably already adults. Some are responsible adults, and some are not. So let's say you have a modest assets, and your estate is worth $500,000. You have a home and probably one or two other things equal 500,000. When you pass away and you sell that house, do you want to leave your two children? Am I right? Do you want to leave 250,000 to your 18-year-old or 13-year-old child? No. That's what is going to happen. But also, if they're less than 18, they can't even get it. All right? That means they have to wait and someone will have to administer for them until they become 18. And when they become 18, then they'll give them the balance to them. What are they going to do with $250,000 cash? What do you think an 18-year-old child will do? Will spend it without care. Probably buy a good car, go to the pool, buy what else? If you're education conscious, do you think the child is going to further his education and go to college? I doubt it, because what's he going to do? Do you understand? This is what he can earn in 2 years or 3 years. His parent is giving it to him up front. It's going to be spent without care. So we need to make a plan. Beyond just giving things to our beneficiaries, we want to plan it in such a way that we'll be able to tell them this is if something happens, this is what you need to do, how much you can have. But time. It's called ages and stages. At least. Do you understand? Okay, you can't have this money until you're 21, and you can have this second part of the money when you're 27. You help them plan because a lot of kids are not financially mature, but it becomes outright. Even if you have adults, some adults don't know how to manage money. Am I right? Some don't. And there's some adult people that maybe they have issues. Maybe they have drug issues. Maybe they have mental issues. There's some people that have special needs children, and you still want to give something to them. Am I right? You need to plan for those so that they don't get it outright. If you have a special needs child and you give an inheritance to your special needs child, they're going to lose their Medicaid. If they're on Medicaid or Medicaid, they're going to lose it because now they have to spend their money instead of the government taking care of them. So all those are things that we need to have proper planning done so that we're giving our beneficiaries the best foot forward. Also, it's going to go to them unprotected, all right? Unprotected in the sense that they could be subject to lawsuits, it could be subject to creditors, it could be subject to new spouses. So let's take, for example, this Miss Joy, who doesn't look joyful. Miss Joy decides to get married at 20 years old. And now he's married to Mr. whatever name. Well, because she got some money, she decides to spend it with her husband, put it in her account, am I right? And they kept on spending it, but unfortunately because the man just got into the marriage for the money, for whatever reason it did not last, and she had to get a divorce in 2 years. Let's say there's 100,000 left in the account because of mismanagement. When a divorce happens, Mr. Sad is going to be dividing that money with her. The court is going to divide the money between the two of them. Is that what the father really wanted? Maybe the father doesn't want to give the asset to his stepson, but just for the good of the daughter. But because it's unprotected and it's not properly planned for, it's going to go to them. Or also, when it's unprotected, let's take for example, you have a home. Mr. Alex got a home, and he puts the money in his bank account. Now, there was a flood in the home, and it's over the amount of coverage of his homeowner's insurance or whatever insurance he had. All right. At the end of the day, it's going to be sued for the bad. It's going to be sued in the rental home to make repairs and all that. And outsiders and creditors will be getting the monies from him because it's unprotected. So we want to keep our assets from lawsuits, from creditors, or from future spouses, alrighty, through proper estate planning. So, please help me check the next box. I need to make sure my kids don't inherit money at 18. And some of us probably have children older than 18, but if that applies to you, please check the box. Also, I want to ensure that my children's inheritance is protected from creditors and lawsuits and future divorces, no matter how old they are. If that applies to you, please check the box. Alrighty. How well do you know your children or your siblings? How well? Good. Do you know what they will do when it comes to money matters after you? Some people are good. Some people will be fighting each other. Some people will be bitching at each other. Some people, when it comes to money matters, you don't really know what happens. You know about the game of Monopoly, am I right? You know there could be fights when you're playing Monopoly. Now when it's real life, real money, anything can happen. I've seen a lot of siblings rivalry while working as an estate planning attorney, or now as a probate attorney because some people do not properly plan. And now they have to cut down the house into two or into three. Meanwhile, the parents desire to give the home to one child and then give other things to other children. But because something went wrong somewhere, the children fought, the other children were fighting because the house is the main thing. You understand? So you don't know what will happen when it comes to money matters. There's some families that the good child will end up being the bad child, black sheep of the family. So it's better to have things in place and make sure you have a say so that all they need to be doing is following your instructions. All right? But the instructions needs to be clear to you, am I right? If the instructions are not clear, then it's not bothered. How many of us have children under 18? I want to know if I skip this or not. All right. So for that benefit, kids could even be at risk even if you have a will. All right. So a lot of guardianship nominations happen in a will. You'll nominate a guardian for your young children in a will, but a will is only effective when you pass away. All right. So a lot of attorneys don't think about what happens in case of a family emergency. You're still alive, but you're in an accident or you ended up in a hospital, or maybe someone is in a coma for some days and they have young children. What will happen to the children if they're the only ones at home? They're going to end up with CPS. Child Protective Services will take them. that what the parents really want? No. Or even if they meet a nanny at home, the nanny doesn't have the legal authority to take care of the children. So you want to have something in writing called a short-term guardianship document or a temporary guardianship document that you'll be able to say, in the event of an emergency, these person and this person are the people you should call. They will take care of my children. And that way your children are not ending up with CPS or foster care. All right? So it's not just about the long-term guardian nomination. Is after that will take care of the children on the long term. You have to choose those. If you don't choose those, anybody can have seen fat because they are young children and two aunties wants to take care of the children. Am I right? But one aunt really wants to take care of the children because of the money, and the other aunt doesn't seem qualified. So all these things are very critical to think about. First of all, choose a short-term guardian so that your children don't end up in a foster home or CPS in the event of an emergency. And on the long term, choose people that you know are like-minded. Who is going to take care of my children the way I will? Who has the same values as I do? Do you understand? And write them down. And even you have an opportunity to say, this is how I want my children to be taken care of. And if you have blended families, for example, some people are in second marriages and their young children, they want to write down what type of relationship do I want my daughter to have with the stepdad or with our dad because he's living with a stepdad. Because the dad has the right to come and take his child, am I right? So what if the mom wants the child to live with a stepdad instead of the biological dad? Or what form of relationship does she want the child to have with the grandparents of the other family? All those things need to be documented and when it comes to young children so that there are no confusions and there are no conflicts. And we put that together in our office, what we call the Kids Protection Plan. So that you're nominating your guardians and you're writing down how you want your children to be taken care of both long term and short term. A will not answer that question. Alrighty? Are we enjoying it so far? All right. Also, part of planning for life is planning for incapacity, and I've mentioned it before. Who knows the story of Terry Scheibel in the 90s? Terry Scheibel was a popular story fan, and you know what? She had an issue, and she became brain dead, and she was in a vegetative state for a long time. She was in the hospital, and so at some point, she was on life support, okay? She was on life support. Now, she's been there for probably, let's say, a few months, and that a decision has to be made. The husband, she has a husband and she has two parents. Both are very interested in her, am I right? Those are your close families. Your spouse and your parents are close families to you. So the husband said, well, she stayed enough on life support. I wanted to be taken off life support. And the parents said, no, leave her on life support. We don't want her to go. So this lack of saying what she wants became an issue between her husband and her parents. And do you know how long that issue lasted? Many years, 10 years. So this case had to go into litigation and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And it went all the way to even the governors of Texas' attention. Why? Because she didn't say in writing, I want to be on life support for 10 days, or I want to be on life support for 1 month, or I don't even want to be on life support at all. You don't want to put such critical decisions or sensitive decisions on someone else's shoulders. I've had people come to me and say, hey, I'll let my agents make that decision. No, because they have different opinions, particularly if you have different people who love you. If you have a logical child or a doctor, they may say, stick away. And if you have a very compassionate child, they won't want you to go. Am I right? At the end of the day, because these are sensitive matters and the issue is a burning issue, they'll be fighting each other about whether they want their parents to leave or not. That was what happened to Terry. The husband and the parents were fighting, and it took 10 years to resolve this issue. At the end of the day, the court ruled that she should be taken out of life support after 10 years. And then about 2 weeks later, or 2 months later, I'm not sure, she passed away. So you want to make a decision up front about how you want to be taken care of. Who you want to make healthcare decisions for you. Now, is it your husband or your parents? Is it your adult child or your spouse? I've seen people have different things they want. I've seen situations where someone said, oh, my husband cannot handle this. I want my child to do it, my adult child to do it. But in default, who do you think will want to come up first? Maybe the husband. Do you understand? So, but if you don't want, if you want a particular set of people, then you want to list them as your agent so that there are no confusions, number one. And number two, you want to say what you want, how you want to be taken care of. Do you want life support or no? Do you, in different situations, what do you want? Do you want organ donation or not? Do you want to be taken to the hospital or you want to be left at home? Do you want nursing home care or not? You know, different things. Where you're able to make particular decisions specific to you and how you want to be taken care of so that your wishes will be turned into directives. And it's clear, they just have to follow. Do you understand? So it's needed. Also, we've spoken a lot about how to avoid court. If you have a probate case, if you don't have a will, you end up in probate court. If you have only a will, you end up in probate court. But there is a better way if you want to avoid probate court. Okay? If you want to avoid probate court, then you want to look at not just having a will, but having a living trust. In this seminar today, we're talking about a revocable living trust. Okay? And if you have a fully funded living trust with disability provisions, then you are going to be able to avoid court. So,
One question. If it's not fully
funded,
is that destructive?
yeah,
Okay.
because maybe, so what I see people do, they'll tell me, I want to have a living trust because I want to put we want to put our own in the living trust. Okay, so they put their home in the living trust, but they don't forget they forget to put maybe, what do I say, a second home or their car or something, or maybe they buy a new asset down the line and they forget to put it in the trust. At the end of the day, if it's not fully funded, that means all your assets transferred, including your bank account, your investment account. You know, all this has to be done. Basically, you execute a new deed to put your property in the trust. You assign a signature card, a new signature card with the bank, so that your assets are not in your personal name but in the name of your trust. You retitle your investment account and all those other things. If there's a need to change your life insurance, you do. The names of your beneficiaries and your life insurance and all that. So it's not just about preparing the document. And that's what traditional lawyers do. They don't care so much. They'll prepare the legal document for you, but they will forget to make sure that you transfer your assets into your trust. And if that happens when you pass away, anything that is in your personal name will end up going to probate court. but you prepare the living trust in the first place because you want to avoid probate. Will that work? No, it wouldn't. So that's why we said fully funded. And fully funded means transferring your assets, anything in your personal name, into the name of your living trust. And why? Anything in your personal name will end up going through the probate court. If you have anything in joint name, it's going to, so let's say for example, you have a home and it's titled in the name and the name of your spouse. If one person passes away, the home will go automatically to the spouse because it's tenants in the entirety. Anything that is joint title, like you have a joint bank account, the bank account will go to the name of the other person. If you have a beneficiary listed in your bank account, the bank account will go to the beneficiary. But a lot of us don't have all this in place. So when something happens and we just have that bank account in our name only, it ends up in probate. So when you have a living trust, this is what happens. You change the name, the name of your bank account or the title of your home to the name of your living trust. You create a living trust, and a living trust needs to have a name. Okay? So when you change the name to the name of your living trust, upon passing away, your name doesn't own the property. Your name doesn't own the property. It's your trust name that owns it. And that way you avoid probate. You understand? So a fully funded living trust helps you avoid probate. And really, our model at Ivylaw is to make sure it's fully funded. Because we don't just prepare the legal document, but we have a system in place to guide you or to help you make sure you fund it before you leave our office. All right? So it's important to have this done and to have it done the right way. And when it's done this way, it's going to avoid the probate court. It's going to be number one, the advantage of having a living trust. It's private, it's not public. All right? So instead of it going to the court and the court administering the estate, it's going to be administered in the privacy of the lawyer's office. Number two, it's going to save a lot of time. Instead of being 12 to 24 months, it can be done as quick as possible. As quick as 3 months, as quick as 6 months, as quick as the trustee that you chooses to administer it, and as fast as possible. It's not public, it's private. And also it's going to save you a whole lot of money because you'll be saving on estate taxes. And you'll be making a lot of additional decisions that you cannot make in a will. Do you understand? So for example, when I said you want to keep your assets from being given outrightly and unprotected to your children, the trust will be able to help you to make those special decisions however you want it. So let's say, for example, you want some assets to be used for your kids' education. Am I right? That will be done rather than it being given to them outrightly because it's in the will. Alrighty. Are you good so far? Can we do this? All right. Okay. A good question that people ask is, do you have what do you really need? What should I do? Should I have a will? Is a will alone okay for me to have? Or do I need a living trust? A will or a trust? How many of us have thought about that question? Do I need a will or do I need a trust? A will is a starting point, okay? It's better to have something than have nothing. Because at least in a will, you're going to keep your family out of conflict. Because you're going to be able to choose your agents and give a gift to whoever you want. But it's going to go to them outrightly. All right? A trust it's going to do so much more. So, if you have assets over $50,000, you may be qualified to have a trust. All right? Or a small estate is $50,000. Okay? If you're a single person, a small estate is $50,000. A regular estate for a single person is anything above $50,000, and it goes through the regular probate process. So if you have a home, a lot of us have homes, am I right? And maybe our homes are $250,000 and above. Or maybe we have a condo, $150,000 and above. It may be worth it to have a trust than a will, because you'll be saving a whole lot of headache and money having a trust in place. And if you have anything above that, we'll do the calculation for you. We'll make you to understand at the end of the day when you're meeting with us whether it's worth it to have a will or a trust, or what you can do, to make sure, oh, I don't have the money to have a trust, this is what you can do. This is what you can do, at least to save some, to best serve you. You have a home or real estate, you may be considering having a trust. Do you have minor children? Then you may consider having a trust and also having a kids protection plan. Do you have a blended family? How many of us well, if you have a blended family, don't just have a will, okay? And you know why? I'm going to tell you a story. Mr. Jackson is married to Mrs. Jackson, all right? Mr. Jackson passed away, but they have a home, and the home was in both of their names, Mr. Jackson and Mrs. Jackson. So, when Mr. Jackson passed away, the title passed automatically to Mrs. Jackson. Both of them have 2 children from their marriage. So, Mrs. Jackson got the home, and she was raising the 2 children. At some point in time, Mrs. Jackson decided that she was going to remarry. All right? So when she remarried, she created a will. And in her will, it was a basic, simple will. She said, I leave everything I have to my husband. And in her new husband's will, she said, I leave everything I have to my wife. Years later, Mrs. Jackson passed away. So Mr. and Mrs. Jackson's home now belongs to Mr. Smith. And Mr. Smith did a new will that says, I leave everything I have to my children. So what happened to Mr. and Mrs. Jackson's children? They're not going to get anything. Do you understand? But if you have a trust in place, we can do stuff for you that takes care of your children regardless of what happens afterwards when you're gone. You understand what I'm saying? So you want to take care of, we look at these things in depth and critically so that you are providing for your loved ones and not unintentionally disinheriting your loved ones. Someone was telling me the other day about being an adopted child, and because she was an adopted child, she couldn't get anything because of the way something was set up. But that wasn't probably the intention of the children. I was like, oh wow, that's sad. And that was because the estate plan was either not done or not properly done. So when you have a blended family, you want to make sure that you have a trust, not just a will. Alright? If you have problem children that are on alcohol, drugs, tantrum, children that just you want to give to them, but you don't want them to have something outright. Do you understand? You want to have a trust, not just a will. Also, how many of us have businesses? Great. If you have a business, all right, you need to plan. There's something called succession planning. Who is going to manage your business afterwards? And also, some people have businesses, they have it as sole proprietorship. Some people have businesses, they have it as LLCs. When you have a business in your personal name or as an LLC, what happens at your passing? It becomes part of your estate. Then you have to pay probate taxes on that. All right. So when you have a business, you probably need a trust because you want to put your business into your trust to avoid probate. And that's why it's needed. So these are a few of some examples of when you need a trust rather than a will. So if you fall into any of this category, you may need more than a will. All right? You may need a trust. Does that set some clarification, some clarity? Alrighty. Who else wants to protect their inheritance completely? Do you like the idea that you don't lose your inheritance to a new spouse or to a lawsuit? The best form of protection that will work is having a revocable living trust. And it's revocable because while you're alive, the asset still belongs to you. You're the owner and you're the trustee. That means you'll be able to manage it. All right? And also you're the beneficiary. You're not really losing anything. It's just title that is changing. So that when it passes away, it saves a lot of mess and conflict and things are done the way you want. The revocable living trust becomes irrevocable after death. So now it acts like a will, and they have to obey the terms of the trust and administer it based on what you put down. You get it? So it doesn't cost a lot and it's easy, but before we go to that, can you go back to your orange worksheet? We've said a lot. All right. We talked about children, nominating guardians for children, both the long-term and the short-term guardians. So if you think you need to name guardians for your children, please check the box. We spoke about healthcare directives. If you need a power of attorney or a healthcare directive, or you need to review what you have, please check the box. And you know why you need a power of attorney? I don't think I spoke about that, but it's like for your everyday life, okay? Who is going to take care of your finances? Who is going to take care of your bills? Who is going to go to the bank for you? Who is going to go to the post office for you? Who is going to call social security services for you? Who is going to go to litigation for you? Who's going to go to settlement for you? Do you understand? Things like that. Who can act on your behalf while you're alive? And also, I want the power of attorney is needed for incapacity, but more than that, if you're not available, you can still make use of a power of attorney. So let's say that I've seen a situation where someone is out of the country and they want to do a settlement of a house. A power of attorney was used so that someone else can help the person sign those settlement documents. Do you understand? So it can be used in a great way. Also, there is a mom that was stuck at home and she wanted her daughter to pick up a mail from the post office. When she got to the post office, this certified mail, the postman did not give the mail to her, to the daughter. And it was like, oh, but she's my mom, and she asked me to pick up this mail for her. And you know what the postman said? Well, I can't give it to you because your name is not on it. Do you understand? So, is it that the child drove back home to bring her mom, or, she wasn't going to pick up that mail? And the mailman asked them, do you have any form of authorization to pick up your mom's name? Then the daughter remembered that she has a power of attorney and she had a copy in her car. So she just went and picked up the power of attorney from a glove box and showed it to the postman that she's authorized to act on the mom's behalf. When the postman saw the power of attorney, he gave her the mail. So it could be as easy as that, or it could be as complex as that. But it's all important. Alrighty. So if you need a power of attorney or a healthcare directive, or you need to review it, please check that orange worksheet. If you think you need a living trust, or you need to review your living trust, we've spoken about that a few this morning. Please check that box. Or if you want to avoid estate taxes, we spoke briefly about that. We all know about Prince, am I right? Or Michael Jackson and all those people. At the end of the day, by the time Prince's estate paid his estate tax, it was running to like $100 million because of lack of proper planning. We may not have that much, but we have something to save and preserve our family's wealth so that it goes to the people we want rather than into the government coffers. So if you had need to save an estate tax or probate tax, please check that box. Alrighty. Are we good? Thank you. We're almost wrapping up now, and we'll go to questions and answers. So how do you get started? We've had a lot of information today, but we need to take a next step. If you hear and you don't do, it's not okay because it's useless. But we want to put action into everything that we've heard, and we want to give you like direction of what you can do to take the next step. With us, it starts with what we call our family wealth planning session. It's a 2-hour strategy session where you'll be able to meet with the attorney in our office at Estate Planning Attorney, right? And we'll be able to give you like a one-to-one meeting specific to you, specific to your family, specific to your assets, all right? And also in the process, you'll get financially organized than before. Earlier on, I spoke about people don't know what they have or where it is. Am I right? That process of a family wealth planning session will help you to be financially organized because you'll be able to marshal all your assets together, all right, as part of the process. And during that process, we'll also keep your family and assets out of the Department of Unclaimed Properties. Also, at the family wealth planning session, you'll be able to make informed decisions because you'll get a better understanding about what you need to do specific to you, your family, and your assets. Am I right? And also, at the family wealth planning session, you'll be able to say, hey, I want to move forward to engage our services and choose whatever level of planning fits your need, not my need. All right, we're going to make recommendations to you. I've seen people that I made recommendations for A, some people B, some people C. So we have 3 different levels of planning where you'll be able to choose based on the informed decision you have on what level of planning fits your needs. Also, in the family wealth planning session, we will invite you to engage our services. And if you engage our services, we offer flat fees and we also offer payment plans, okay? To make things easier for you. And there are no surprises because they're not hourly rate. And you know for certainty that your family will be expertly guided with love throughout your life and you will be prepared from incapacity or death. So we're not a one-time attorney, as we said. If you come back in 3 years' time, we will update your plans for you. If you have, I have some people that just sold the property and got a new property, we're helping them put it into their trust and different things like that. We'll guide you and we'll assist you through life. And there's some people that want us to speak to their children so they'll know about their plans. We do so. Alrighty. So that's a family wealth planning session. And it's the value is $750. Alright. But you can have it for a discounted price if you submit your orange worksheet. Alright? And schedule a session to secure your appointment with $20. All right, $20 is to secure your appointment, but we're giving you the planning session, a 2 hour session. I wouldn't say for free now, but I'll say for $20. Does that sound fair enough? It's just to help you take the next step, okay? It's to take the next step. We invite you to engage in services, but if you don't, you're not obligated to. But at least you will have been financially organized. And you will know, you go with informed decision. Am I right? It's going to be of very good value to you. So I invite you to please at least schedule a family law planning session. And if you don't schedule, at least turn in your orange worksheet and you have $750 each time. This is the experience you have. Planning ahead will avoid problems where relationship based with flat fee based, rather than doing a knee-jerk response to problems and just literally transactional time. Alright. Remember, I told you to write down something ahead before. Who needs your protection? Am I right? And what needs your protection? Please go back to it after all that we've discussed this morning. Are they still the same people? Or the same things? Do they still need your protection? And much more, do you understand how much more they need your protection now? Don't put your family at risk and don't leave them at risk. Are you thinking about putting an estate plan in place? Do not procrastinate. For me, I said my family needs my protection. All right? And I'm putting things in place for them so that I don't leave things in a mess. I don't leave them in a mess. And I want to keep them out of court and out of conflict. What about you? All right. If you want to do it, I think I mentioned it earlier on with estate planning. It may not be urgent, all right, but it's important. And people procrastinate because of that and keep on, you know, I'm too young, I'm too busy, I don't have a lot of assets, all those things we went through. But just take that next step and get it done. Nike said, just do it. Am I right?
Yeah.
So don't procrastinate, just get it done because you don't know when it's going to be needed. You don't know. People get accidents every day. People pass away every day. In August, that was a very season time. August, a few months ago, I know 5 people that passed away. 5. It was a very shocking bad month. But if they had a plan, good for them. If they didn't have a plan, we see a lot of people having to go and go from me. And of course, creating a mess for their families. Alrighty, we're at the end. Thank you for staying tuned to the end. Now you have an opportunity to cash in on our gifts for you. Have you finished filling out your form, your orange worksheet? Alrighty, if there is any other thing you want us to do as a next step, what's the next step you want to take? You want to schedule a family wealth planning session? Please do so at the back. Alright, submit your orange worksheet, schedule your family wealth planning session. Our staff are there to help you do that just right now. And we have very limited and few dates, okay? So you want to get to spot as soon as possible. And maybe this is on your to-do list for this year. Just get it done this year. And maybe you want to check it off on that list that you got it done this year, okay? We're here to help you to get it done. Also, if you want to have like a follow-up appointment, maybe you're not just there and you still have some questions, you can schedule a callback appointment, a 15 minutes callback appointment, and I'll be able to help you and answer your questions to help you further. All right? Also, if you want to be included in our e-newsletters and, be included in our know about our upcoming events, please check that box. We want to be interacting with you. Also, we have a best-selling book we're in on the way. If you check that box, we're going to send the electronic copy to you. It's about legacy planning and estate planning. It's a very interesting and beautiful book, an educative book. We'll send you an electronic copy. Just check the box. Alrighty. And if you want to be a part of getting our e-newsletter, also check the box. Those are some of the ways we can move you forward, but more importantly, you came all the way today to learn about how to avoid the mistakes people make in estate planning and how to keep your family out of court and conflict. We invite you to schedule a family wealth planning session today. When you submit your orange worksheets, you're going to be given the $750 gift certificate. All right, we're going to give you this gift certificate, and you're going to give us when you come for a family wealth planning session so that you'll not be charged. All righty. Also, we're going to give you those $250 off your trust or wealth plan when you make an appointment today. So whatever the attorney's fee is, you'll get a $250 credit, and that makes it a little easier for you just for coming and just for having this. You get some discount. A lot of people who likes discount on their good. A lot of people do. So this is a $250 gift for you when you retain our services. And also, in addition to that, for scheduling a family wealth planning session, we're going to give this a digital assets checklist. All right. If you have those emails, those social media accounts, those online accounts, those Bitcoin accounts, gaming, whatever account you have, you'll be able to save your usernames and passwords in one spot, and we'll make it part of your estate planning documents, okay? So this is our gift to you also for coming and for scheduling a family wealth planning session. Has it been good all day? Hi.
Yes.
I brought this binder. So when we're done, when we're done with our estate planning, we don't just give you a sheet of paper and just give it to you like that. We make it well packaged. So everything is in one spot. We also even give you electronic copies. All right, everything is in one beautiful spot, and we give it to you so that you can keep. Alrighty. So this is our binder. It's the planning portfolio. Alrighty. So it's question time. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for listening all through. I hope it wasn't boring. So, any questions? Yes, sir.
What does it mean
You
when
can
you
stop
say
there.
a fully funded?
Fully funded means retitling. Okay, retitling your assets from your personal name to the name of your living trust. So, for example, if you have a home and your home is in your personal name, let's say your name is Mr. Smith. Okay, when you create your trust will have a name, and the name of the trust may be Smith, the Smith Living Trust. So, we'll prepare a deed that changes the title of your home from Mr. Smith to the owner being the Smith Living Trust. That means you funded. The same with your bank account. Your bank account will not be in your personal names anymore. It's going to be in the name of the Smith Living Trust. So when you do that with all your assets, that's fully funded. So a lot of people, you don't just go to transactional attorneys, honestly, because they don't take a good look at everything you have. Some people have life insurance, am I right? And then they make the beneficiaries their young children. The young children cannot have it until they're 18. Do you understand? So we have a way to instruct you on what to do so that the children can have that benefit.
Is that included in the fee?
Yeah.
Fee?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was.
The transfer, so it depends on the level of plan you choose, okay? There's some plans that will tell you this is how you do it and will provide you with documents on what to do. And you just, for example, go to the land record and report, or we give you everything you need. And there's some plans that we do it for you.
I have one more question.
All right.
About the fees for making another, appointment to the 2 hour appointment, I'm a little.
The family will planning
Yeah,
session.
exactly.
All right. It's $20.
Okay.
The value of the meeting is $7.50. So if you're sitting down with me for 2 hours, you're supposed to be paying $7.50 for that session. But I'm offering it for you for $20. Just book the appointment, secure your appointment for $20. That's it.
Can you, because I need to contact someone and make a day, can you, pay the $20 and then book the appointment in 2 weeks or something like
Yes, pay the appointment,
that?
pay the $20, and tell them,
And then I can book it at a later time.
yeah, there's a timeline actually on the card. So it says if you make your appointment by October 31, you can use the $7.50. All right? So that's, I believe that's about 2 weeks. Today's 20. Today's 22nd. Okay. But if you came to the seminar, just tell us that, oh, I came to the seminar. Just book within 2 weeks, then you'll be able to make use of this. Okay. And if it's over 2 weeks, explain that they'll have to get my express permission to let you use it. All right? And then if you engage your services by November 30, or if it's after that, it has to do with my express permission. Then you just spread. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Uh,
I have a situation where there's a court proceeding, just one, against a bond. Bond has to pay. Well, the transition to the trust, I wanted to create a trust, not put all of the assets into the trust, but a lion's share of the assets of my personal assets into the trust. My question is, can I have like a routing number with trusts developed here with your firm to take the assets into the bank and divide it there where, so a portion would be here for me, a portion would be put in trust for my loved ones?
I believe something like that can be created, and you can create all the more than one trust if you want
Okay.
for specific purposes as well. I don't know if I got your questions in details,
Well, I'm gonna,
but you can talk to me afterwards.
okay.
Yeah, so I'll have a better understanding. So, all right. Yes, sir.
Please, when you create a trust for a non-situation, and that non-situation now comes to a non-situation, like in the process of the trust, the person that created the trust died. Now, how is the issue resolved? Because the trust may not mention the beneficiary of the property. So how do you resolve that situation?
The language that we create, the language that we use in the trust makes provision for now or later. So let me take, for example, you have 2 children now, and you have a trust. Maybe by the time you passed away, you've adopted 1 child or you've had an additional child. The language in the trust can cover for both the living children as well as the future children. So we create things in such a way that it gives accommodation for what may happen in the future so that you don't have to make changes every time. But when you have to make a change, you still have to make a change. So, most of the time, the trust will cover now and the future. Does that answer that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
How do we reduce abuse of the trust?
Abuse of a
Yeah.
trust. First of all, there are less abuse when it comes to a trust, okay? Because this is a legal document, it's a legal agreement that you can make a change on while you're alive, but when you're gone, it becomes irrevocable. The people you trust, the people you know, like, trust, and chose as your trustee, as your successor trustee, are the ones that are managing that trust and the provisions. So it's not just anybody's, the person you nominate that is doing it. And if the person you nominate can do it, you have like backups. So if the person you know, like, and trust is administering your estate, there's a less chance of abuse. And also, there is also a provision in some of the trust and in the trust I prepare for trust advisors or trust protectors. So if there are conflicts or there is a lack of understanding about a provision of a trust, they can go to a trust advisor, a trust protector to mediate those solutions, those issues, and create solutions around it. Any other questions?
Is the trust universal, is it assets in different states?
Say that again?
Yeah, is the trust, universal, for the most part, assets in different states?
So yes, I'll say yes, and I'll tell you how it goes. So usually, I'm going to go back to it. But when you have a will and you're domiciled in the state has jurisdiction, or the county has jurisdiction over your will. So let's say you live in Prince George's County, you have an asset in Prince George's County. Prince George's County is going to be the one where you'll go, or where your benefit, your personal representative will go to administer your estate. When it comes to trust, if you have assets in different states, your trust can still be used to administer those assets. But what you want to do is this. Let's say you have some assets in Texas and you have some assets in Maryland, you have some assets in, or maybe you want to move to Texas in a few years. Just go by an attorney to review to make sure that the terms in your trust is like compatible to Texas law. You understand? And then they can do some restatements to make sure it's compatible if it's not. But what we draft, when we draft our trust, we make sure there's a uniform rule, and we make sure it meets the uniform rule. And there are a lot of states that go or comply with the uniform rule, okay? So that your trust will work in most states. That's it. Any other questions?
So in regards to power of attorney, should you get with a general power of attorney or a specific power of attorney? Because there's a few differences.
Okay, what we prepare for our clients is what we call a durable power of attorney. So it covers a whole lot of powers, a whole lot of powers. So it's a double-edged document, and you have to give it to the people that you trust, because the person can use it for you or against you. All right, and also you have an opportunity to say when it's effective. All right, but there's some situations when financial institutions want like limited financial power of attorney. When they ask for that, then you can create that for the limited powers. But usually the durable power of attorney can be.
What is the difference between ordinary trust and
There's no ordinary trust, but there are different types of trust. We have a revocable living trust, we have irrevocable living trust, we have special needs trust, we have IRA trust, we have real estate trust, different trusts for different reasons. So, what you want depends on your need. There's some, so what I'm telling you about today is the revocable living trust, which gives you authority over your family and your assets while you're alive and also after you're gone. And you can make changes while you're alive. But if you're preparing an irrevocable living trust, once you've done that means you cannot make any change. Do you understand? So you have to give it a very deep thought. Do I want an irrevocable trust or do I want a revocable trust? You understand what I'm saying? And when people do create irrevocable trust, they usually create it for the purpose of asset protection.
The revocable trust. Once a person is dead and it goes into the trust, there's no changing the trust, or who is allowed to change the trust? Or is that part of the revocable?
While you're alive, it is revocable. You, the creator, can make the change. Once you pass away, it becomes irrevocable. No one, then it becomes an act like a will. So no one should be able to make a change and they're supposed to be following your instructions. Any other question? Yes, sir.
Which type of trust is people registered states or
Okay. No. The answer is no. A living trust is a private agreement. It's a private document. So you don't have to register it. Okay? But of course your loved ones or whoever your successor trustee is needs to know that you have this in place. And this is where they can find it. So it's private. You don't have to register it like people register wills. Okay? For those who have a will, you can keep it safe and private or register it for safekeeping with the county for $5. But you don't have to register a trust with the government. No, you are keeping it.
if someone gets it?
If somebody gets it,
Yeah,
how do you keep it? That's the question.
so it has to be, you have to keep it in the safe.
You have to keep it in a safe place. Some people keep their plans in the safe deposit box with the bank. Some people have where to keep important documents in their homes. You know, you just have to keep it safe and let one person know where it is. But it's a private document, so you don't have to register it. Alrighty, thank you so much for being here and being present and for participating in today's estate planning seminar. I hope you all had a good time and you benefited from what we did today. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your presence. If you have any further questions, you can please ask me afterwards so that we don't delay a lot of people. But please remember to submit your orange worksheet and cash in on your gift certificates. And I hope to see you all in a family wealth planning session or a callback appointment. We'll have this again in November around Bowie. So if you know people that you'd like to, that you know that will benefit from something like this, feel free to let people know. It's going to be November 17 and 19 around Bowie. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today. Have a good day. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.